Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy National Championship Monday to everybody. Man, am I excited. I don't know if I'm nervous or what, but I'll tell you one thing. Kickoff cannot get here soon enough. That's all there is to it. I thought about doing a live show like the hour leading up to kickoff, but the way I feel now at 1:30 in the afternoon, that's not happening. It's going to be impossible. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you all my final thoughts on this game now. And that's going to be it. And I'm sure I'll do a post-game thing. No matter either way it turns out. Clemson wins, you'll see me on here beating my chest as I should. Clemson loses, I'll come on here, tip my cap to Alabama, and give them all the credit in the world. And you can tell there's a lot of new people on this channel because I'm getting comments out of the wazoo. I mean, they don't realize I was on YouTube last year at this time, and when Alabama beat the crap out of Clemson in the playoff game, I was on YouTube within 5 minutes giving props to Alabama. I don't run from a loss. The only thing is, for the people that have only been here for a short time, is I haven't had to run from a loss because we haven't lost this year. But before I get started, I have a little message. I have a message to Ohio State fans. You mad, bro? I have a message to Oklahoma fans. You mad, bro? Got a message to Notre Dame fans, my new favorite fan base. You mad, bro? And last but not least, UCF fans. We all know you're mad, bro. Come on now. The UCF dynasty is officially over, isn't it? Time for these guys to crawl back in their hole and leave the rest of us big boys alone, ain't it? All right, now that I've got that out of the way. Let me open up YouTube. Technologically disadvantaged, unadvanced, whatever the proper term is for this. I can't seem to get my stuff together here. All right, let's see who's here in the chat, and then we can talk about some final thoughts here on the game. What's up? Hold on, let me scroll back up to the top here. Good afternoon, Christian Ballard. Mickey Brady. He says, I'm a dog fan pulling for Bama in the SEC. Yeah, so he's an SEC homer. Clemson Jacob, Adam G, college football maniac, SEC football tube, hound dogs in the house. Rick Williams. I know that guy. He says, roll Tigers. Yeah. Melon Matt, roll Tide. Don't like me, please. I just a vibe. Says go Tigers. It's a hell of a name you got, sir. I'm just going to call you Vibe. How about that? That makes it easier on me. Rick Robinson. I saw Durkins never be the same. Leon Hurricanes. Miami fan coming through and pulling for the Tigers. So although the SEC is full of SEC homers that have been riding Alabama's coattails for the past decade, there are indeed ACC homers as well. And Leon Hurricanes is one of them, sir. That's why you're one of my favorite. So I've been over this game in my head and on YouTube a dozen times. I don't know where else to go as far as the matchups between the offense and the defense and the key players and what to look for. I've gone over it all so much that I'm blue in the face, and I don't want to repeat myself over and over and over again as far as that goes. We all know how I feel about this. I feel that it's going to be a close game that could go either way. And listening to the radio and watching TV over the past several days, you're getting the same sort of sentiment from all of the so-called professional analysts out there, right? And but the majority of them have been saying they're all picking Alabama to win a close game. And I understand that. I get that. Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow, also known as Roadshow Sports, I believe now. Coming through with a $10 super chat. Catfish, you're the man, sir. You know I love you, sir. And he says, I'm an SEC homer. I know that. You don't have to tell me that. That's like saying water is wet, sir. We know that. All kidding aside, thank you, Catfish. But Catfish, you know what you should be doing tonight? What you really should be doing is pulling for the other orange team, since we all know orange is the best color in sports. So let's not kid ourselves. Although your orange is ugly compared to ours, but still, nonetheless, it's orange. Anyway, so I don't know what else to say as far as the matchups go. So I'm not going to talk about the matchups. I want to talk about something different, something probably a little bit more entertaining. First of all, taking the heat. What do you mean by taking the heat, Pete? The trash talking. When you put yourself on YouTube the way that I've done for the past couple of football seasons, and you've uploaded 300 plus videos over the past couple of football seasons, trash talking other teams, sticking up for your own team. Whenever you lose a game, especially a game of this magnitude that means absolutely everything to everybody in the fan base, you've got to be able to take the heat. I'm equipped to take the heat, okay? And like I just said before, Alabama wins this game. You won't see anybody running and tucking their tail between their legs. In fact, everybody expects Alabama to win the game, right? Everybody who's not looking through, as Law Tide says, their Clemson orange-colored glasses. But anyway, I'll get on here and give my props to everybody. The question is that I really want to know, and this is probably the more important of the two questions, is if Clemson pulls off the upset here and wins tonight, can the Alabama fans take the heat? Is you've earned the right to be the loudest. But this year in particular, ever since Tua Tagovailoa came in that game at the end of last national championship against Georgia and brought them back to win, ever since that day, Alabama fans have taken their craziness to an entire new level. It started game one this year. Well, it was all during the offseason, too. But game one this year, ever since game one of the 2018 regular season, Alabama's unbeatable, a lot of them would say. Unbeatable, these people have been telling me. Nobody belongs on the same football field as Alabama. This is the best Alabama football team that Nick Saban has ever had. This is the best football team to ever be assembled in college football history. This is what they've all been saying all year. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And you all seen them in here doing this. I'm not putting all of Johnny Red Dot and some of you other guys. I'm not saying every single Alabama fan is doing this, but you got to admit you've seen a lot of Alabama fans doing this. I know you have, because I've seen a ton of it. So the real question is, when it comes to taking the heat and trash talking, who has more to lose here, Clemson or Alabama? I'd say it's Alabama. I'd say it's Alabama as far as a football perspective and also as a fan perspective. Now, what does this mean to each team? Not just the teams, but the fan bases, depending on which team wins or which team loses. Well, for Alabama fans, it means that the dynasty lives on, because they are a dynasty. I just mentioned they've won 5 national titles in the past decade. I mean, that's as much of a dynasty as you're going to get in modern, in history, not even just modern football. That's domination. That's domination, and nobody can dispute that. Now, on the other hand, if Clemson wins this game, it changes the landscape of college football. It turns it on its head. Because what that not only means that Clemson will have won 2 national titles in 3 years, but it also means they will be 2-2 in the playoffs against the dynasty of Alabama, and it also means they will have a winning record in national championships head-to-head against Nick Saban. Dabo Swinney will. And I think that's a big deal. And I think it's a big deal because what you will have then, I don't think that If Clemson wins tonight, somehow that means that the dynasty is over for Alabama because they're not going anywhere as long as Saban's there. They're still recruiting at a high level. That thing is like a machine rolling out titles and SEC championships and national titles year after year after year, more often than they don't. So you're not stopping the dynasty of Alabama if Clemson wins tonight, but what you do is you have two dynasties now. Yes, you just heard me right. You have two dynasties now. Because for a coach who never had a head coaching position in his life, was a positions coach, to come in as an interim head coach and then within 10 years take 4 playoff appearances and turn that into 2 national title wins against the greatest football coach of all time, you are certified as being considered a new age dynasty. So it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing for both teams. Not only that, if Alabama wins this game, that means that Nick Saban will be the all-time national title leader in history. He'll pass Bear Bryant. And that's something that's never been done. If whichever coach wins this game, whichever team wins this game, will be the first team to ever go 15-0. And that's a huge deal. So there's a lot on the line tonight for both teams. A lot. But when the dust all settles, doesn't matter who wins this game. Alabama wins this game. Clemson wins this game. There's going to be a lot of discussion around, is Dabo Swinney and Clemson's program on Alabama's level, or have they surpassed them, or vice versa. And I understand all that. But when the dust settles and everybody calms down in a couple of weeks after this thing's been talked about 100 times over and every single angle you can come at it at the end of the day, you're still going to have, these are the 2 premier programs in football. The only way that you're not going to have that discussion is if somebody gets blown out tonight, which I don't think is going to happen. I mean, if Alabama beats Clemson 42-10, then they'll be saying Clemson's overrated, which we've all been hearing. I've been hearing that crap for years now. Ever since 2014, Clemson's overrated and don't play anybody. Meanwhile, the people that say that have not been paying attention to college football, because there's nobody that's beat Clemson in a playoff situation other than Alabama, and vice versa. And, of course, we beat the likes of Ohio State multiple times, Oklahoma multiple times, Notre Dame multiple times, LSU. I mean, you just go, whatever, you go on and on. To say we haven't played nobody, you're a fool. On the result tonight. Or at least the perception of Clemson can. And I'm already starting to hear. Hold on, let me get in the. Get in the comments here. Don't kill me, please. Or Vibe. Ohio State beat Bama. Yeah, Ohio State did beat Bama. You're right. I guess what I really meant to say was in the national championships. And listen, Ohio. There's another group of teams: Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia. Some say that LSU is going to be in that conversation soon. I could make an argument that Texas A&M will be in that conversation soon. Maybe even Oregon out of the Pac-12. Some say Texas with their rise in the Big 12. So there's a lot of teams that are barely on the outside looking in. I mean, listen. Look. I don't care what you think. I realize everyone's got their glasses on for their fan base, but results don't lie. And the truth of the matter is, over at least the past 5 years, Clemson and Alabama have separated themselves from the rest of everybody else. Now, that does not mean that Ohio State sucks and Oklahoma sucks and LSU sucks and Georgia sucks. No, they don't suck. They're very, very good, elite programs. But they're just not on that level. Now, all it takes is one season for them to get in that conversation on that level. But you still have to prove it. It still has to happen. So I'm not dismissing these other teams. I'm just saying that right now there's a slight difference between the 2 teams that are playing tonight and the Ohio States of the world, the Georgias of the world, the Oklahomas of the world. And if you don't agree with that, then I don't know what to tell you. That shows me automatically that you're not paying attention to football. Hound Dog says, I hate when people say trash. Yeah, you and me both, sir. Law Tide is in the house. Good afternoon, sir. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic, but I already know you are. Y'all worried? Good luck. No, we're not worried, sir. Bama doesn't suck, I promise you that. Who the hell said Bama sucks, sir? If you ever heard me say that Bama sucks, I'll pay you $1,000 right now. Give me your PayPal account. I'll send you $1,000. The only people that are out there screaming that Bama sucks are the people that Bama and Clemson both beat. Oklahoma, Ohio State. You know, the ones that are always right there but not beating us. Those are the ones that say that kind of stuff. Anyway, I'm excited, man. I don't know what else to say. I'm so excited. Let me go back up in the comments here. Oh, also tonight, there's a lot of people streaming the game tonight. I will not be one of them. Oh, my camera's about to fall over. Yeah, I will definitely not be one of them. It's just no way it's going to happen. BVD, Big Vol Daddy, for all you volunteer fans out there, you guys all know who he is. He's going to be doing the game live. The Sports Fury, who are normally NFL guys, but they got, I don't know, 50-something thousand subscribers. Those guys are killing it on YouTube live streams. They're going to be doing it live tonight. I'm going to call into their show also at halftime and give a halftime report. Who else? I think Delusional Paul. He's also going to be doing a live stream for the game tonight. I mean, there's going to be so many people doing live streams tonight. So you can pick one of those guys and go check them out if you want. Travis the Goat ETN. If Clemson wins, it's safe to say we're the up-and-coming dynasty. And now I think it cements us as a current dynasty, along with Alabama. Sorry, I mean, for all these people, listen, Dabo Swinney is if he wins tonight, that'll be 2 national championships in his first 10 years as a head coach. He's not even 50 years old yet. How long did it take before Nick Saban won his first national title? He's 20 years older than Dabo. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the guy. The guy's won 6 titles at 2 different schools in his career. And in the past 10 years, he's been absolutely dominating. But if you talk about if Dabo has he has a 20-year head start on Dabo in coaching in college. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But the odds look to me as if Clemson wins tonight, then he is on pace to surpass or at least meet what Saban's done. On pace. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but he's on pace. Donnie Shepard, I'm an SEC homer. I got to pull for Alabama tonight. Sorry, Pete. Don't be sorry. I get it. I'm not hating. It's all good. Clemson should win by at least 7 since UGA lost to Bama by 7. Clemson is better than UGA. Do I agree? No, I don't agree with that. And realistic one, here's the reason I don't agree with that is because I don't do the transient property thing where we beat this team by this much and this team beat that team by that much, so that means this team's better than that team. That just doesn't matter. I mean, if you do that, then it just screws everything up because basically what you're saying is that let's say, for instance here, UCF beat Pitt worse than Clemson did. So UCF's better than Clemson, right? Or Georgia got blown out by LSU and UCF played LSU close, so that means UCF is better than Georgia, right? I mean, there's a million different ways you can look at this. And it's all just every game, every week is a different situation with different matchups, and I don't think you can really say the way that you're saying it right there. But I'll tell you this, I think Clemson's better than Georgia right this year. So I agree with that part of it. Clemson is better than UGA is a lie. G. Grace. How can you make the argument that Georgia's better than Clemson? Georgia hasn't won a national championship in almost 40 years. Georgia's been at the playoffs one time, won 1 playoff game, then lost their only national championship, and Georgia lost 3 games this year. How can anybody in their right mind possibly compare Georgia to Clemson? There is no comparison. I mean, come on, stop it. What's up, Oregon Ducks football and basketball? How you doing, sir? Jacobs will go off. Dude is homeless. Jacobs is a great back. I saw his story. Great kid. Great running back. I think that nobody's gone off on Clemson as far as running, and Clemson leads the nation in yards allowed on the ground per play. So I don't know. He'll get his. He ain't going off though. See you guys arguing in here about the age-old argument. Will Dabo go to Alabama? I mean, come on. First of all, nobody knows. There's no way. The only person that knows that is Dabo. I wouldn't blame him if he did, because it's his alma mater. But I do think that Alabama fans are living in their Alabama bubble when they just think that all of a sudden, as soon as that job opens up, that Dabo's going to drop everything that he's built and just run to Alabama because it's Alabama. They're not listening to what Dabo has been saying. Now, I know what you say doesn't mean a whole lot, because people say, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and they do it anyway. As far as money situation goes, Clemson would match anything that Alabama would give him. I don't think Dabo Swinney is motivated by money in the first place. When you make as much money as these guys do, the difference between $7 million a year and $10 million a year is not going to change their life at all, especially when they're coaching for 20 and 30 and 40 years. The other thing is I feel like Dabo, well, I don't just feel like it. It is what it is. Clemson is his baby. It's his creation. This program that he's built, it's his. If he goes to Alabama, he's carrying on the legacy of something that Nick Saban built. Now, he might be chasing that ghost of winning titles at Alabama, but I just don't know. Also, he's coached and lived in Clemson, at Clemson, for longer than he ever did at Alabama. I mean, he grew up in Alabama, but I mean, as far as his football career, coaching and playing, he's been at Clemson longer than he was in both situations at Alabama. And he raised his kids in Clemson. I mean, he is Clemson football. He's the face of it. He's a legend. He is the Bear Bryant of Clemson football. So I don't see the motivation for him just to run off to Alabama. I don't get it. Both of his kids are going to Clemson. He'll have a third one going there soon. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not buying it. Law Tide says Saban isn't going anywhere. Well, he's going to go somewhere eventually, sir. The guy's not a spring chicken, man. I mean, he might be there, I'd say 5 years max. And unless you want a Bill Snyder situation where this guy's over there on crutches and wheelchairs coaching football, I'd say 5 years is about his max. Now, I could be wrong, but he's in his late 60s. I mean, does this guy want to be white-haired and with using a walker, throwing that headset down and then falling down and breaking a hip? I don't know, sir. You let me know. He's going somewhere eventually. He looks good for his age. Actually, you know what? You're right. I'll give you that. I don't know what this guy must be doing what all those rich people in Hollywood are doing. Those blood transfusions where they get 19-year-old people's blood and they replace their old blood with the new blood. Have you people heard about this? Oh my God, these millionaires out in California, besides the Botox and the nose jobs and the facelifts and the boob jobs and the butt lift sanity that's going on out there. Maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe that's what he's spending his $8 million salary on every year. He's getting 19-year-old blood injected into him. But you know what? He does look good for his age. Can we handle losing 5 more years? Well, I don't know. If that happened, which I know you're really trying to make yourself believe that's going to happen, sir. But if that happens, we'd have 129 friends who were losing for 5 more years. It wouldn't just be Clemson, would it? 130 teams in Division I football. Saban is juicing. Yeah. Hey, Lawtie, did you see that? I know you follow me on Twitter, and I follow you, but did you see the article I posted from the NFL scouts, all saying that the best quarterback in this game is Trevor Lawrence, and that he will be the number 1 overall pick when he comes out, and that he's quite possibly there's one guy on there who's been an NFL scout for like 40 years, and he says this is the best quarterback prospect he's ever seen, ever, and that eclipses Peyton Manning and all the rest of the greats ever. And I told you, listen, that's no knock on Tua. Tua's going to be a first-round pick. He might be the first overall quarterback taken when he comes out too. I'm not shitting on Tua by any means. The guy's an amazing talent, and I think he has a bright future in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, just as far as a scouting standpoint, the NFL scouts are saying that if Trevor Lawrence was eligible for the draft right now, he would be the first overall player taken, or at least the first overall quarterback, even at 19 years old. That's the ceiling that he has, the talent level that they see he has. These guys said that Luck was the next guy too. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. It looks to me like Luck's doing pretty damn good in the NFL. The guy's one of the leading candidates for the MVP this year. Luck's been one of these guys that's battled with injuries and also played on a terrible team for most of his career. If it weren't for Andrew Luck, the Colts over the past 5 years would be like the Browns. I mean, he is their team. But I listen, I think that the Colts are going to maybe win the Super Bowl this year. They're that good. And Luck's that good too. Dennis Wilson. Pigskin Pete, stop blowing up Sunshine Trevor Lawrence. I'm not blowing him up, sir. Like I said, I will be proven correct whenever he does enter the draft. I mean, you guys can just sit around and wait, and you can thank me later. Pete, put away your burnt orange hat. No. And by the way, it's not burnt orange. Burnt orange is Texas colors. This is not burnt orange. He's not better than Peyton, says Volunteer Roadshow. Well, I mean, of course, nobody's going to say he's better than Peyton. He's a freshman in college. Peyton is a Hall of Fame NFL quarterback. But here's some news for you, Catfish. Do you know that Trevor Lawrence is from Tennessee? He's not from Georgia. He grew up a Tennessee fan. He grew up a massive Peyton Manning fan. He's obsessed with Peyton Manning. And last week, before the Notre Dame game, he called Peyton Manning on his cell phone, and Peyton Manning gave him some advice. So, listen, you might be an SEC homer, Catfish, but if you're as big of a Peyton Manning fan as I think you probably are, you probably should be pulling for Sunshine Lawrence, since he is a Tennessee guy, since he's not a Georgia guy, and also because he is a Peyton Manning disciple. Might be burnt after tonight. Well, yeah, I might burn something. I won't burn my own clothes, but something might get burnt tonight. You're right about that. Tiger Nate. TDT Tyler says Clemson 35-28. Okay, that's a good prediction. Pete, I think the game will come down to who has the most pressure on the opposing quarterback. Tiger Nate, I think that's pretty much the consensus here. The teams that have had the most success against Tua and that Alabama offense this year have been teams with great defensive line and getting pressure on Tua, Mississippi State and Georgia. So you're right. I think you're right. And vice versa. The same goes for Trevor. Who's the better quarterback, Kyler Murray or Tua Tagovailoa? I think Tua is better than Kyler Murray. I think that Kyler Murray deserved the Heisman because you cannot hide the stats. I'm sorry. But let's put it this way. This is the way I always put when it comes down to saying who's a better quarterback. And this is the same metric I'm using when I'm comparing Tua to Trevor. Okay? All three Kyler Murray, great. Tua Tagovailoa, great. Trevor Lawrence, great. These are 3 great players. Which one, if I was building an NFL franchise, would I draft? The answer is, if I'm picking between Kyler Murray and Tua, I'm picking Tua. So that's the reason I say that. I believe that Kyler Murray deserved to win the Heisman, but Heisman does not necessarily go to the best player. It's supposed to go to the best player. But what it really means is it goes to the player with the best stats. And stats are very skewed based on the team and the conference and everything else. There's all kinds of different factors that go into your stats. Stats are a good thing to look at, but they're not everything. The reason that Deshaun Watson never won the Heisman, even though he was nominated for it twice, let me ask you this. Is Deshaun Watson a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson? Of course he is. Anybody who thinks that Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, come over here so I can punch you in the mouth. So that's my point. And I think Tua is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, to answer your question. All right, hey, Catfish, man, thanks for stopping in, sir. Nittanyberg 20, Cody Parkey is the most hated man in Chicago. Man, I feel so sorry for that guy. That just goes to show you how wacky people are. I mean, this guy's getting death threats. The guy missed a kick. Do people don't realize this guy scored the majority of the points in that game? I mean, Jesus Christ, people. Some of these people are mentally ill. NASA CGI Snakes, Pigskin Pete's, what's your predicted score for tonight? I've already gave it. It's 34-31. I think is what I said. Or 35-31, Clemson. Something like that. 34-35-31. I think it'll be in the 30s, and Clemson will edge out a close game. And what I've heard from a lot of people, Alabama fans included, experts, everybody's predicting somewhere around between 3 and 7 points, no matter who you're picking. I haven't heard anybody say, except for the real trolls, that it's going to be over 6 points or so. And I don't think it will be. I think it'll be close. Oh, Hound Dog, yeah, I did see that video. He asked, did I see that rage video of that guy walking around the stadium after the Bears game last night? That somebody needs to lock that guy in an institution. 20 to yeah, that's what you said on the face-off, Law Tide, 27-20. And I don't know if that's a bad prediction either way, but I do think that it's going to be higher scoring than that. And not just because of how good both the quarterbacks are and how good both offenses are, but I think that what we've seen between Clemson and Alabama, with the exception of last year, but in the 2 national title games, you've seen much higher scoring than that. And I think the reason is because there's a lot of scoring late in especially in the third and fourth quarters, maybe in the fourth quarter, and you also see a lot of trick type of things, like we saw the onside kick the first national title game with Alabama, and there's just these national championship games tend to be a little bit higher scoring than if we were playing in a regular season game. That's just my opinion. The field is horrible. Yeah, that might affect it. You might be right about that. Have you seen the latest pictures of it? Because I've heard they resodded it on, I think, Friday. Of course, they had a shitload of rain after Friday, but they're supposed to put a cover on it. So I don't know. I've heard reports that the field is supposed to be better than people are saying it is, and I also heard reports that because of all the moisture in the air and the temperature there, where it's not able to dry out because it's been very cool, that it could get torn up pretty. It could be a soft surface. So I don't know. Has anybody seen, like the most recent update as far as like today, as far as the field conditions go? Because I haven't. I hope the field's okay, because that'd just be a shame for both teams. It really would. If these guys are slipping around and not able to get good footing, that just would be terrible. It's going to be nasty, you say. Well, damn, that really sucks. I don't know who that favors, Law Tide. Honestly, I don't, because both teams have elite running games, and obviously the field being like that is going to favor running as opposed to the wide receivers. So I don't know, man. I don't really know who it favors, but it just sucks that it's that way. That's all I can say. What field are they playing at? They're playing at Levi Stadium, the 49ers field in Santa Clara, California. Donnie Shepard says, what do you mean it's turf now? You mean it's like artificial turf now? Is that what somebody's saying? The trash talking does not end tonight, sir. Here's the difference. The trash talking ends for one team tonight. It doesn't end for both teams. And again, I'll be on here either way. Alabama wins tonight, I don't run and hide. But if Clemson wins, yeah, you better believe the trash talk is in full effect. I promise. Whose bright idea was it to play in California? That's a great question, Clemson Jacob. I don't know. Some genius. It's all about money, just like always. People are bitching and moaning about the ticket costs and the hotel costs and the flight costs. This is the problem with major sporting events. Whether it's the Super Bowl or the World Cup or whatever, it doesn't matter. There's a certain small group of people that are making a shit ton of money off of this. And they don't big wigs exchanging envelopes. So there's a lot of people getting rich off this game. If not even a single person shows up, there's a small group of people that are getting paid tonight. So that's what it all comes down to. And that's the shame and the travesty of major sports, especially college sports, because it's college sports. It's bad enough to get gouged in pricing for for professional sporting events, whether it's Major League Baseball or NFL. It's a real shame whenever college fans are getting the shit end of the stick too. I don't know. I'm sorry for my language. I don't know another way to put it, but it's a shame. Who sees this money? Well, God knows only who sees it. But I'll tell you who does see it is the NCAA sees it because they have a deal with the 49ers. I don't know how the structure works out, but both the NCAA and the 49ers organization are making a crap load of money tonight. Now, in the meanwhile, the TV stations, ESPN's obviously going to be making a crap load of money off of advertising. The people that get shafted in all of this are me and you and everybody else who even thought about buying a ticket to this football game, or especially if you did buy a ticket to this football game. You're getting screwed the hardest. Pete, who are your top 3 on-the-field coaches in the SEC? Well, obviously, Nick Saban. He's proven that. I would say number 2 is Jimbo Fisher. Even though he's new to the SEC, I think he's cemented himself and proved himself over time enough to say that he's not only one of the best coaches in the country, but definitely one of the best on-the-field coaches. Number 3. Number 3, I'm going to say Dan Mullen at Florida. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but I know he's got a losing record against ranked teams all the time, and he doesn't have any conference championships or division championships. Well, he took Mississippi State from a basic bottom-dwelling program to, at a couple of times, they were ranked number 1 in the country. The only reason they didn't win the West for several years there is because the Alabama juggernaut prevented them from doing that. And I just think that Dan Mullen's a very good football coach. I don't know how good of a recruiter he is. I don't know about any of that. I'm just saying, as far as a on-the-field, in-game coach, I think Dan Mullen is among the best in the SEC. What's up, Cody? Pete, what's up, brother? I'm stoked. All in, baby. The field actually looks great right now. Watching ESPN, it's supposed to be 58 games. Awesome. Good. I'm glad. I hope it's good. Christian Ballard. Hey, Pete, stopping in to say good luck tonight. I'm still calling Bama 30-24. Of course you are. Tyler Irish, Mark Stoops is doing something special at Kentucky. I kind of disagree with that. I think Mark Stoops has done well with what he's got to work with. I'm not going to dispute that. I think Mark Stoops is a very good coach, but the guy had one good season out of how many? I mean, it's well, listen. We'll judge how good or great of a coach that Mark Stoops is if he can continue to win 10 games a year, year after year. But listen, Kentucky plays in the weaker of the two divisions. If Mark Stoops is a great coach, as you're saying, as great as people think he is because he had a great season this year, then he would have been taking advantage of the fact that Florida and Tennessee and South Carolina and Missouri and all these other teams have not been great the past few years, but he hasn't. He just hasn't. So I know what to say. If he does it next year and the year after that, then we can start talking about it. But 1 year is 1 year. Kentucky is Kentucky. Yeah, thank you. Kentucky is Kentucky. When will the Coots fire Muschamp? Not this year because they shot themselves in the foot and they gave this joker a 6-year extension. They gave this joker a 6-year extension and a raise because he won 9 games one time. And by the way, just like I said, you can go back and watch all of my preseason prediction videos. Everybody and their mother was on the South Carolina bandwagon this year. Will Muschamp's got that thing rolling. He's recruiting. He's great. I came on here and said, look, everybody calm down. Will Muschamp is a pattern coach. He did the same thing at Florida. He had an 11-win season at Florida. Everyone start talking about Florida's back in the national championship hunt. It's Urban Meyer 2.0. We're about to go on a run and be the best team in football. Next year, the guy won 4 games. Wah, wah. Same thing at South Carolina. The guy wins 6 games. Oh, that's better than we had before. He won 6 games. We're in the right direction. Next year, he wins 9 games. Oh, next year, we're going to win the East. 7 wins. Wah, wah. Will Muschamp is a bust and a joke. He'll get fired after next season, I think. Not a good football coach. Not a good head coach. Will Muschamp, exactly. How happy was I when I found out Bentley was coming back? I got to be honest here. I was a little bit disappointed because I know what you want me to say is I'm happy because we own Bentley. I got to be honest, though, man. I really wish that South Carolina was at least a little bit better. I don't want them to be great. I don't want them to be on Clemson's level or anything like that. But I just wish they were a little bit better. I mean, just because it's not entertaining to watch Clemson just destroy them year after year. And I also would like to see the East be a little bit more competitive. So for those reasons alone, I would like to see somebody new leading that team. But from a Clemson fan perspective, I guess is what you're asking me. That's great. I would love to hand Bentley his 4th loss. What's up, Thomas Nolte? How you doing? Jake Bentley is terrible. Yeah, that's the reason he's coming back is because there's no way he's getting drafted anywhere in the top 3 or 4 rounds. The way he's playing right now, he's got to come back if he's trying to raise his draft stock. He's just been so bad. And I don't know how much of that is his fault and how much of that is the coaching, which most of it is the coaching. So we would trade Clemson for South Carolina in the SEC. I know a lot of people tell me that. And it's not going to happen, first of all. And the reason that a lot of people say, "Oh, Clemson doesn't want to come to the SEC because then they'd actually have to play people every week." That's an infantile argument. It's not true. Clemson is one of the original ACC teams. They've been in the ACC since, I don't know, early 60s, 50s. They're one of the original ones. Most of the teams in the ACC right now were not original ACC teams. So to get Clemson out of the ACC logistically it probably wouldn't happen, and not in the near future. Just don't see it happening, and I don't think it has anything to do with football at all. I just think it's just there's a lot more politics that go into conference affiliation than just football. Yeah, y'all can have Maryland back. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to get off. It's been a great time. Thank you, Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow, for the super chat. That's my boy. Thank you for all G Grace, Donnie Shepard, Johnny Red Dot, Law Tide, all of the SEC people. I can't go name them all. Ryan Stanfield's in the house. Ryan Stanfield, how you doing, sir? You're like the groundhog that comes out on Groundhog Day. He pops up once a year to see if it's sunny outside, and he goes back in his hole. But, Ryan, you know you're one of my favorite people, sir. I said 35-31, my final prediction for tonight, Ryan. But anyway, thank all of you. Go Tigers. Good luck to Alabama. I'm hoping for a very clean game. No controversial calls. So I don't care if you're a Clemson fan and we lose. Don't start blaming the refs. If you do that, I'm going to ignore you, like I should. If you're an Alabama fan and you lose, same goes to you. I don't take people seriously who start blaming injuries and refs. I'm not going to do it. I don't care what happens tonight. You will not see me blaming the refs or injuries for our loss. Will not happen. And I don't want to hear any of you doing it either. At least don't do it to me, because I'll ignore you. I promise. But I hope for a great game. I hope for a clean game. I hope for everything that we all hope it is. And, of course, I hope for a Clemson Tiger win. But it is what it is, man. This is Super Bowl Sunday for us college football fans. For people like me who come on here 365 days a year and make college football-related videos, this day is what it is all about. And thank God I'm a Clemson fan. I know I'm lucky to be one of the two teams left standing, because it could easily not be us if we would have lost one game this year. So I'm thankful for that, and everybody else in here should be too. And if you're an Alabama fan, you should be thankful too. Despite the fact that you're a dynasty, you should still be thankful that you're here. So never, ever take it for granted, because it won't last forever for either one of us. Have a great day. I love all of you. And I'll see you after the game, rain or shine. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.